I feel like for me, like the relationships that I built, like with coaches, players, and like even just like players' families as well, like kept me in the sport and like kept me motivated to play.
I didn't really know like what was it like or what kind of like shape you had to be in to play college ball.
If there's constant pressure from the coach to win, then you're gonna increase the athlete's anxiety. You're gonna decrease their confidence.
I think the biggest issue with collegiate athletes is burnout, and they lose their drive for playing a sport that they've loved.
Anything that was going on in my life, bad, good, it just all went away when I was at soccer, and I loved that about it.
One thing that this theory shares in common, or this hypothesis shares in common with the drive theory, is that the low, right? That if I have low arousal, I have a low level of performance. So it doesn't differ there. But what you see is that instead of having this infinite benefit of arousal and performance, we start to see that performance will actually decline at higher levels of arousal, right? If you see somebody who's panicking, they're not necessarily going to have an excellent performance. And that's what this inverted U hypothesis seems to represent. So my name is Nicole Bolter, and my background in sports psychology is that I'm a professor in the kinesiology department. For athletes, their athletic identity basically refers to how much they define themselves in terms of being an athlete. And depending on, the intensity with which they're playing their sport, that athletic identity can be one of the only ones, right, that they have. And so, that can be a powerful motivator. It also can create a lot of pressure, especially if you kind of put all of your eggs in the athletic identity basket. You don't really have a lot of other ways to define yourself. And so that can be really positive. And it also could potentially kind of leave you in a situation where you're overly relying on that. And then what happens when you're no longer playing sports and you have this really strong athletic identity? How do you resolve that as you move forward with your life?
My name is Kylie Schneider, and my background with soccer started when I was 4 years old. So I think roughly 19 years ago. And I played rec league for 2 years. My mom coached me, and then I moved into a club team, and then I moved to a different club team that was even better, and then that got me to where I played college soccer.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Tanner, or you can call me AJ, that's what my friends call me. But my background in soccer is 17 years of every level you could think of. Select, recreational, competitive, ECNL, collegiate, did it all. It was just one of those sports that my parents got me into just to keep me busy. I was a pretty athletic kid. They got me in everything. They got me in volleyball, softball, soccer, track, running, anything to fill my time.
My name is Ileana Gallegos, and basically my soccer background is I've been playing maybe since I was 4 or 5, so I've been playing for a really long time. What made me want to play was it was more of a generational thing more than if I wanted to or not, but my parents played, my brothers played, and so it was kind of oh, you're gonna play too. And over time, as a kid, I enjoyed it a lot, so I just kind of stuck with it.
Hi, my name is John DiMartini. I'm the head women's soccer coach at San Francisco State University.
It's 4 sets of stairs. I think it's
high school is, the best kid on a high school team can just be a rock star. The average kid on a college team is better than the best kid on a high school team. High school replicates college sports because you're playing with a freshman and a senior, if the kid's good or whatever. Here, you're playing with a freshman that's 18 and you might be playing with a senior that's 23. 5 years at that point is completely different mindset, right? I'm on my way down the road to becoming who I'm gonna be. I'm starting my career, and you're still trying to figure out what day of the week it is, right, at 18.
Before coming here, I want to say I wasn't in shape, and I didn't really know like what was it like or what kind of like shape you had to be in to play college ball. And so like when I got here and like we started doing a bunch of like hard training and like working out, like it was just tough for me because, I want to say I was a little bit overweight, so it did suck.
I came from a club that didn't always lose, and they were really good. And so losing wasn't something that I liked to do. No one likes to lose. But my freshman year, we went 0-12, which basically means that we lost every single game. And it was heartbreaking. I didn't know how to react to that. I didn't know how to take that. And so, and then COVID hit right after. And so I was having those thoughts, and then it just was all bad. I definitely had to reevaluate and see if that was something that I really wanted to be a part of.
In terms of how competition affects an athlete, I think is really determined by how competition is valued and interpreted in that particular context. So nobody's going to say like at the college level, like winning's not important. Of course it's important. But how you help an athlete interpret what does it mean to be constantly in competition can really help them understand how much it should be affecting their own, self-confidence and their own perspective on the sport.
So like once I got to college, I noticed that like it's not as ethical like what we put our bodies through as people think, and it's actually really hard to get enough sleep and to eat right when you're broke and you're trying to like play as hard as you can, but like at the same time like your body hurts so bad, and like sometimes you have coaches that don't understand like how the female body works, and like we shouldn't be, sometimes we would lift like right after we would run 3 miles, and it's like no one's body's ready for that, like at least mine wasn't.
I think the biggest issue with collegiate athletes is burnout. I really do believe that that's a massive thing, and they've lost passion. They lose their drive for playing a sport that they've loved, and I think it just kind of gets to that thing where it's just overwhelming at some point. And so yet again, learning to deal with those things, but coming back from that scenario where you feel overwhelmed, it takes a long time sometimes for them to get over that, right? And I think that's where, the mental health piece of what we're really focusing on now as a group, is meaning coaches and athletic programs around the country, is that piece, like making sure that burnout, there's a reason and there's a solution, or not a solution, but a fix for some of it, and help them get the help that they need. It's no longer a bad thing to be burned out. It's a good thing, because now we can kind of, how do we reorganize that? How do we put you in a different scenario and see if we can help you?
What does it mean to be constantly in competition can really help them understand how much it should be affecting their own, self-confidence and their own perspective on the sport. So if there's constant pressure from the coach to win, then You're gonna increase the athlete's anxiety. You're gonna decrease their confidence. They're not gonna be as sure-footed when they're out there competing. And if you're consistently doing that over time, you're going to see that confidence lowered, that anxiety increase, and that's going to have an impact on their physical ability to compete. They're not going to learn very well. They're not going to be, we see that sometimes there's increase in muscle tension, there's distractions, they can't properly focus on what they're supposed to be when they're in that high anxiety environment.
I put soccer on a pedestal and kind of defined my worth as a person as how well I did in soccer. And so that was something that I had to kind of overcome and that I did overcome in my later years. But it took me a long time.
It takes a lot of your self-esteem and your self-confidence when you're not necessarily doing well. And your coach is just yelling at you and you're trying to do your best but you really can't, and so it really takes a lot out of your self-esteem and confidence. At least it did for me.
So having a strong athletic identity is a great motivator for being a participant in athletics, right? It's something that you can take pride in. It's how you define yourself. But when you're no longer playing sports, that can almost be a vulnerability because especially if you don't have other robust identities that you've developed. So you're thinking, okay, I'm no longer playing sports. I identify as an athlete. What now? Who am I, right? So it's a bit of a identity crisis in some ways to think about, so now do I just go to the regular gym and work out, or do I go play casually with some friends, the sport that I was playing at a very high competitive level? There's not really an easy transition there. And so some of the research in our field is really focused on what would be called these career transitions. So, moving from, okay, I'm playing at this very high level and now I'm not anymore.
Being done with soccer, I guess it kind of goes in between. Sometimes I do miss it, and just being part of a team and getting to travel with your team and just spending time with them. But also at the same time, I enjoy time by myself, and so I like spending time on my own, just enjoying my own hobbies and stuff like that. So it's been 50-50, I guess.
I mean, I've been an athlete for 17 years, and I still consider myself an athlete, but being done and not really having a sport and a team, it's freaking weird. I don't like it, but I like the free time, but it's weird. It's something that I have to get used to, but you gotta roll with the punches.
After all these years, I feel like I'm happy with all of my experiences, all the positive experiences and all the life lessons that soccer taught me. And I just feel kind of I lost my youth in a sense, being done. I was a kid during all of that. I feel like soccer, sports in general just kind of kept me young. But now that I'm done, I feel a little older and I feel like it's just a journey left behind now. But overall, I feel good about being done, and I feel really happy to go on new adventures and identify myself not as an athlete anymore.